Presentation.
Hope I'm not in the shot eating my brisket.
Alright, so.
Shh, we're recording during this. This is gonna be our turn. There's one person. Give her a big wave. This is really difficult.
She has two arms. Alright, so thanks everyone for being here, doing this again. But I'm going to tell you some gee whiz information about fiber optics so you can impress people at your next dinner party. Why isn't this going to the next thing? Alright, so what is fiber optics? Fiber optics is a strand of optically pure glass. They carry light as the transmission medium instead of current, which is most technologies today. An example of a fiber optic network is Verizon Fios or Google Fiber. I know Verizon Fios is available in this area, but it's not available to everyone. They have to have run all the cables and stuff to your house for you to be able to get it. So what is it made of? Fiber optics is a long strand of glass that's about the diameter of a human hair. The center of the physical cable is they put a strength member which is made of Kevlar. This is just to help the structural integrity of the cable. All of those fiber strands are actually wrapped around the Kevlar to make it stronger, and so that you can't just pull the strands out of the cable themselves. Every fiber is coated with an acrylic polymer that just helps protect it from like water damage and dust and things like that. And then the outer jacket of the cable is made of a really durable plastic, which is actually a lot harder to cut than you'd think, even when you want to. So the three main components of a fiber itself is the core, the cladding, and the buffer. The core is a really thin piece of glass. This is where the light actually travels through. Then surrounding the core is the cladding. The cladding is also made of glass. In very few cases it's made of plastic, but it's made of a different type of glass that's actually a lot more dense. And this is actually very important, and I'll get into that in a little bit. And then around the cladding is a buffer coating, which again is just another plastic coating to help protect the fiber. The buffer coating is actually also color coded so that you can tell what fiber is which on both ends. Telecommunications uses a color code to make it easy. So here's a few examples of what a fiber actually looks like. This first example on the left is kind of hard to see, but you can see the core, the cladding, and then the buffer coating. Then the next diagram is a little bit easier to see. You can see the core right here, the cladding, and then this white coating is the plastic. They say right here this yellow coating is a strength member. That's only true if this is a single strand fiber, which isn't really common anymore. So they don't really make this kind of fiber, but this really illustrates how small the core is in comparison to actually the rest of the fiber. So here's another examples that are a little bit more accurate to what a cable actually looks like. So this example up here on the left, this is right here, this black stuff is the jacket. This is what is made of really durable plastic. It's really hard to cut open. This right here is just a metal, like a piece of metal used for protection. It's a little bit thicker than like what a soda can would be. It just helps makes the cable a little bit more rigid and things like that to help not break the glass. It's not in every single cable. This is what's called an outside plant cable, which means it's made to be put outside. So that's why it's a little bit extra durability. All of these tubes right here are called buffer tubes. These are what actually house all the different strands of fiber. And then these right here are just individual strands of fiber. This example is actually called a loose tube because the tubes themselves aren't very tight against the fiber, so the fiber has wiggle room. Their loose tubes aren't really used that much today because the fibers can break a little bit more easily compared to tight tubes. And then this right here is an example of a strength member. So this cable is very similar, but this one illustrates the buffer tube a little bit better. As you can see, you have all these different strands of fiber coming through in each buffer tube. So this is the jacket. You got some strength members and extra protection, buffer tubes. Right here you have the strength member, usually made of Kevlar, and you can see all the different color-coded fibers. And then each buffer tube itself is color-coded so that you know which fiber is which on both ends. So here's a much more, this is actually like a real cable. Those other pictures were just diagrams. So you can see strength member, all the fibers are wrapped around the strength member to make it much more structurally strong. Have the outer jacket, metal protection, and then this, you can consider this an inner jacket, so I think most people will call it. These are actually right here, these yellow things are actually pull strings. They're just they're actually just like a Kevlar strand that you can use to pull the cable open instead of cutting it, which makes it a lot easier to open because you can easily damage the cable in attempting to open it. This image actually doesn't show the fiber strands because they're actually so small you wouldn't be able to see them in this picture. So this is with all the plastic coating still on. So the types of fibers, there's single mode, multi-mode, laser optimized. Single mode fibers, the core of the fiber is about 9 microns, which is much smaller than an inch, to put it in perspective. Multi-mode fibers are a little bit bigger than that, and the reason is that single mode fibers is only meant for one light beam to go down the fiber at a time, where a multi-mode is made for multiple different beams to go down at the same time. Single mode fiber is a lot faster because it's only one light source, and the core is a lot smaller. So they're used to connect like cities together. If you were trying to connect like Springfield and Boston via cable, you'd use single mode. Where if you're running fiber optics throughout a building, you would use multi-mode because you can send multiple transmissions down the same cable, but it's a little bit slower because the core is a little bit bigger. Laser optimized is when usually a single mode cable is put underneath a laser to help clear out some of the impurities in the glass. This is a lot more expensive, so in real applications it's actually not used that much, but it's good gee-whiz information to know. So how does it work? The science behind it is called total internal reflection. This means like if you were shining something down a hallway, you don't want the light to escape the hallway, so you use like mirrors and stuff all around it to keep all the light inside the hallway. So this is actually done by the principle of refraction. So the reason I have this picture of a water bubbler is if you put a light source inside the water bubbler where the water is coming out, the light will actually never escape the water, and this is due to refraction. What refraction is that when light travels through a medium and then exits that medium into a different medium, and these two mediums are of different densities, the light will actually warp. So this is why if you're in a swimming pool and you put your hand underneath the water and you look at it, your hand looks like it's shifted over a little bit. This is actually due to the light waves warping from going from water to air as the two mediums. So that's actually what's happening here, but the difference in this scenario is that the light is actually never going to leave the water. So if you put like a black piece of paper at the end, you would see light as if you were shining a flashlight on it. So these are diagrams of what a core actually looks like and how the light actually reflects down the core. So as you can see up here, you have your cladding in your core. Just to put it into more perspective how small the core is actually compared to the rest of the fiber strand. So as you can see, this is a single mode because it's 9 microns, and the core and the cladding are both glass, but the cladding is a lot higher density, which makes it so that the light actually refracts so much that it stays inside the core, which what achieves the total internal reflection. So it then just kind of bounces down the core all the way down for the entire length of the cable. This example down here is a multi-mode example. As you can see, there's multiple beams of light going through this cable, and they all do the same thing. They just keep refracting back into the cable. This right here, the acceptance cone, is just like the critical angle of you shining a light. If you shine a light outside of this critical angle, the light will not reflect inside the cable because it's because the refractive index is too great. And that's my presentation.